On September 28, 1941, RNS Triton, the lead ship of her wolf pack of 16 Union submarines, was laying in wait off the coast of Calais. A radio officer had just decoded the message from the resistance in occupied France that several American troop transports had set sail and were steaming north at flank speed. Her commander, Lieutenant Commander Edward Pisey, gave the order to plot an intercept course. The Americans had considerable naval assets, but most of them were deployed to the Pacific Fleet. The French Navy was in North Africa, preparing an invasion of the last Spanish stronghold of Valencia in support of German advances. This left American troop transports in northern France at the mercy of British submarines patrolling the shallow channel. The sun was rising over the channel as the first torpedoes struck. There was no need for subterfuge or hit-and-run tactics, as the transport vessels were only armed with light anti-aircraft guns, and occupied France had no air force to speak of which could be called for assistance. In a day's work, Triton would sink 2 ships with torpedoes and assist in the sinking of a third with her deck gun. It was gruesome work, yet the Americans had chosen their side, and the lieutenant commander would defend the British Revolution with everything he had. Multiple engagements are reported from British submarines guarding the home islands and taking down American troop transports, while the American Navy itself is mostly busy in the Pacific, positioning potentially against Japan by the looks of it, which still hasn't made any more advances in their war in China or in any other island campaign for that matter. The situation in Africa is somewhat critical, as a German armored division, we don't know the details yet, but seems to have broken out through the lines that the Persian and Indian troops have left somewhat abandoned in the north. So while I appreciate their attempt at trying to trap German divisions here, this poses a significant risk to our supply lines. Now, we could try and rush divisions back and deal with that situation in the north, or we could bring additional divisions in, trying to sort out the defense of the vital supply lines. I might have to do both, to be honest, because this is not a good situation, and there are reinforcements coming in from the Indian Federation, but mostly they're still far north. This means we would have to abandon our push into Kenya, which we're currently attempting. But the problem is the supply. So if Khartoum falls, then we're out of supply in Kenya, which means the only alternative option would be to attempt and push towards taking Nairobi without supply, with German Middle Africa troops holding that. I think that would be an illusion. Now, we're also not going to be able to run back towards Khartoum in time to intercept the Germans. But I think we will have to, for now, abandon this front line, abandon this attack, and we'll have to rush troops north in order to. So we'll need 1 division north in order to defend Khartoum. So that's going to be the first. That's going to be the first action here. So we'll rush them north as quickly as possible. Although this is going to take 4 days. Actually, no, 20 days. This is going to take 20 days. We may have to take the railway and hope. There's no railways. We're out in the weeds in Africa. So. No railways here. So the rest of the troops we will deploy along the lines here to secure the flank, and we will attempt, at least, we should have supply from here. We will attempt to clear that northern incursion, secure the lines here, and make sure that Khartoum is and the supply lines are secured. That also means, well, these are guards divisions, so they are somewhat more capable, but it also means that we may need a few additional divisions. So I'm going to take 1 from here, and we'll have 1 extra here, and we've got another 1 here that we can deploy. We have a few more here. Yeah, they've got a few more regular divisions. All right, now we're doubling our contingent in Africa, And these divisions will be used to just to secure the supply lines, because we cannot really trust the Persians and Indians to deal with that successfully. What's the stance of Ethiopia? They are not in any faction, but we can, yeah, we can't I don't think we can invite them or anything. So that would have to be, no, that would have to be in the foreign policy tree, so that's not an option. Which means, for now, we are going to move the troops north as quickly as we possibly can, just to get back towards the supply positions and make sure that we're not getting completely cut off here. And we do have some close air support wings in the area that can assist, but obviously that would mean we would actually need to have some troops on the ground. So much for relying on your allies to do things. Other than that, we are planning an offensive in the north against Memel, and a potential strike here to try and somewhat relieve the front line that is coming under very, very heavy pressure. Meanwhile, the German assault against the fortifications here in Ukraine are relatively blunted. So we do have Guderian throwing the occasional Panzer division at us, but it's not the same sort of concentrated assaults of 15 divisions that we've seen in the past. So it seems also that the German tank divisions are beginning to suffer from material shortages. So the tank losses have been significant and seem to be outstripping the German production capabilities at this point, which is good news. Also, the French Republic, and with that we actually may have to have a quick look. We don't know how many divisions they have, somewhere between 17 and 57. So if we take it in the middle, I'd say it's about 35 divisions or something. They should be able to. That's a field army and a half. They should be able to deal with this uprising here. But it looks like the occupied France, that's what we'll call it, the French Republic, is significantly weakened. Then, despite the fact that the Americans are supporting the Entente, there is simply not enough to push to put down the uprising and to push the syndicalists decisively out of southern France, where Marseille has once again fallen and Toulon is encircled. Nice is being bombed, and it might take the Germans to clean this up eventually, once they are done with the remnants of the Spanish Socialist Republic. But all in all, Britain remains uninvaded, and Russian submarines are doing their part in destroying Reichspakt trade convoys wherever they show up. We have an additional railway gun, and at this point I've stopped the actual production of these, because I think we have enough for now for the front line. And that means we have now 30 factories on the I-185S fighters. We are going to need those, though. So we'll bring that railway gun towards. I dislike putting it directly on the front lines, but we'll bring it towards Venezia for now. But ideally, I'd have it somewhere where it could cover the southern flank of the Odessa front, where the other railway guns don't have impact. Alternatively, we could get it to. Well, if it's here, it'll have this kind of covered, which means the other gun can move north to support the Brest-Litovsk sector, which is coming under increasing assaults as well. So let's bring that a little forward, and this is covered in the north, and we've got one more gun here, which is covering this sector. Now, are we ready for an assault? I believe not yet. So we do have to complete the planning for this whole affair first, and we do have a few things, a few ace pilot promotions, not even showing up here anymore, but What was I going to use the... Oh yeah, we do need to deal with the dwindling war support at home. So I was going to use the domestic film industry for 10% base war support. And then we've got a fair few other things that we can do. Anyway, we are still logistically... we're getting there, but we're still behind on light tanks, heavy tanks. But fighters are starting to recover somewhat. So how are our air wings looking like? Currently fighting over Ukraine and just destroying things as we see fit. But they are getting replenished. So the relatively minor losses that we're taking against the Austrian and Dutch aircraft that are trying to bomb Ukraine mean that we can replenish the planes, and we will send them north once the situation once the offensive will go ahead. In the meantime, we will simply defend there. Anything else we need to worry about? We have a prototype iteration complete for the super heavy railway gun. So let's have a quick look at that. We've got pioneering techniques, and that pushed it ahead by 17%. So that went well. And it looks like the project is past the halfway point. And with that, hopefully we will soon have a much larger railway gun to our availability. So that one is moving in. The troops are moving south towards Africa, and I do have to now sort of shift, and I might actually do some shortcuts here. I do have to shift between the defense here, so I'm going to give that a shortcut and give the Africans a shortcut. And then I can switch between the two relatively quickly. Okay, troops on the move. We're abandoning this front line, and we have to rush back to try and secure Khartoum against that rogue German armored division here. We'll see how that works out. Meanwhile, Nikanor Kuznetsov was apprehended in Poland. So let's see if we can get him rescued. Where do we have? That would be against Poland. We don't have a... I don't think we have we actually have we only had one agent, and that means we'll have to pull somebody else over towards Poland into Warsaw. Does that allow me to mount a rescue? Where do we have? Collaboration government, infiltrate. Resistance contract. Unfortunately, we don't have the rescue mission available. That is slightly unfortunate, but maybe if I let it tick over, can she take over the problem is that I would need somebody in Poland on the ground, obviously, but I was hoping that she would be able to take over the network, but it seems that this isn't that easy, and with that we don't have the mission available, unfortunately. Well, we'll see if we can organize. Well, she's still on the move, but we'll see if we can organize to get Agent Smirnova to bail out Kuznetsov. I would prefer not to lose him. He was one of our experienced agents, but it also means that we probably need to more concentrate our agents into single areas. All right, defense in the north is holding, just about really under against German Panzer divisions and relatively furious infantry attacks. But the more pressing question is, what are the Germans doing in Khartoum? Are they crossing the river, or are they moving north instead? But we'll need to deal with this incursion and stabilize the front lines before we can mount any further operations. Now, can I? Because they're never going to get there. This isn't going to. It is going to. So we're using some regional railways rather than the main structure. So we'll move there as quickly as we can. It looks like the 4th Nagpur Infantry is moving in as well, hopefully to try and counter the 19th Panzer Division. Oh, this is actually from the main... Also, they have deployed some tanks into Africa. So, okay, that's good to know. So that will help. And if they are if there are hostilities, we'll give the close support aircraft the mission to assist. So let's see where they're moving. And okay, they're passing through Khartoum by the looks of it, so they are not actually coming back to to secure the front line here, which is, or to secure the supply lines, which is rather unfortunate. But we do have friendly troops passing through, so at least temporarily, if the Germans, which are operating pretty much without fuel, so that Panzer division isn't going anywhere anytime soon. We may get lucky, but okay. We're getting counterattacked pretty instantly, and we are trying to fall back north and get ourselves extracted before the Germans spring their trap. Because because there are more troops operating in this area, and the Allied troops are missing the tactical awareness to deal with that incursion and that threat to our supply lines. All right, so back here, we have to keep an eye on. Basically, we're waiting for the planning to complete. Do we have enough? Yes, we can use the staff office plan. That would. But we can't. Well, we can't do it for everything. So we could only do it for one, which somewhat defeats the purpose. No, we'll hold the lines here, and we will wait for the planning to complete. We actually do have friendly aircraft in the area now as well, but they don't have bombers to support this anymore. So they're concentrating on terror bombing Belarus and trying to destroy our supply lines and reinforcements here, which in Brest-Litovsk obviously means significant damage taken from air attacks, but the Russian Air Force is not strong enough to deal with that just yet. For now, we are concentrating on Polish, Austrian, and Ukrainian bombers operating over Ukraine, and we will be supporting the Baltic situation once we are ready for an attack. All right, in the south, how does it look? Okay, still no indication where the German tanks are moving to, but our troops are managing to extricate themselves as quickly as possible from the positions, and they're committing. Middle Africa is committing now relatively heavily. It looks like the German tanks have bypassed Khartoum and are moving further north, which still means that they are a threat. So that also means we need to get these 4 divisions here, not onto it's these 4, not onto a defensive line actually, but they need to counter this German tank incursion. If we can, depending on wherever they're moving, we are getting additional Persian troops coming in south. But we'll see if we can manage to retreat from here before being overrun. We have Indian and Persian troops holding the lines, so Russian troops should be able to make their way out of there reasonably quickly. And with that, we might be able to cut the German tank divisions off without too much trouble. And yes, we have Persian mountaineers as well. With some Persian mountaineers holding the lines here, but we've got some troops cut off in the west, and it looks like a significant number of enemy divisions has now been. Including Kenyan divisions, which are now, after the uprising has been defeated, are now working on the side of the Middle Africa and the Reichspakt again. So yeah, we do need to reinforce the amount of troops that we have in the African theater, unfortunately. We have the Obukov, where have we completed this path? We have not. We could get a dockyard out of this, or 5% hard attack on the anti-tank guns. We do need all of it at this point. This would be reliability. What's the difference between these two? That's okay. That's resource need and that's production efficiency gain. Okay, I see. What do the anti-aircraft guns need? It's just steel. Steel we should still have. So yeah, we have absolutely enough steel. So I can totally take the hit on the resource need and throw another 10 steel at the problem for 15% reliability. Or we still have these actually. So this is giving me production efficiency gain. That's the cap. This would be a resource need, and this would be conversion speed. Okay, these are relatively minor. Don't need these just yet. So alternatively, we could take the 5% hard attack, and we can get the sort of more immediate benefit. 15% reliability actually might not be bad, because it means what's the current reliability of our anti-aircraft guns? Let's have a look. We have anti-air. What are we producing? These things, is it? Let's have a look at the production line actually. Yes, the 72P-A, and these things have a, I can't even see the, can I get the reliability? Here. 80% reliability. Yeah, actually, the 15% reliability is useful, because that means we would be losing less equipment in battle, and we are doing okay on anti-aircraft guns at this point. But it could also mean that we could begin potentially pulling some factories out of that. Now, we do have some army experience, which will allow me to, and I do have a fair few things that need upgrading, equipment upgrades. I'm not going to do the infantry equipment because we're close to the assault rifles, but the tanks do need some upgrades. And I think somebody asked in the comments if I had upgraded the light tanks yet. Not yet. We're waiting for 2 more days. Then we get the advanced light tank chassis, and then we get the latest one. So I'm not going to upgrade that one either. But the rest needs some upgrades, so I'm going to do that quickly. Okay, so that gets the reliability up to 92%. So it's multiplicative. It's not additive. That was interesting to know. So I figured I'd add that in. So now we have to replace it. For that, we need to actually close it and then open it, because they still haven't fixed that bug. And now we have the B version. So that's done. We can actually begin converting, because we have a surplus. We're not looking at the deficit at this point. We have, what else do we have to upgrade? Not doing the rifles. We're not doing the BT-7As, because they're going to go out of production anyway. But we've got the heavies to upgrade. So let's have a look at the tank divisions. They can, what would they get from the upgrade? Plus 0.5 entrenchment. Yeah. I said worth it? Probably not. I might do it next time when we have a more substantial upgrade, and not take the. I think it gives a slight hit on production efficiency. So not worth the 10 army XP as well, because we can now, with the army experience that we have. Eventually, I want to switch out of static warfare, but right now it gives me 10% max entrenchment. And while we do that once we go on the offensive, we could also I could also once we have political power, switch the center one to the Spirit of Suvorov and make the medal cost significantly cheaper. So that would be. The supply combat penalties don't help us, because we're not fighting on core core territory. So that's a few interesting things here, but that we can switch around. No, what I was looking at was the special forces doctrine, because we can and should upgrade our mountain troops, and we do have some. Actually, no, I need the army XP to design a new tank. Okay, never mind. Let's not do that. All right, back to things. So troops are moving into place now, and the tanks appear to be still moving north. They might have been fooled by the Indian troops passing by via train, which means that the 143rd Guards that have just arrived can actually close that position and put some distance between us and them, they are not going to be very fast because they're completely cut off from supply, which means that tank division is probably going to be lost, if I'm honest. It more looks like a light tank division, but that might deceive in the desert sands. So where are the... we're still retreating here. And can we get these divisions out before any further problems arrive? Anyway, light tank chassis has been researched. Quick look up in the north. Lines are holding, and despite bombing operations. Lights are holding, so everywhere else lines are holding as well. And they have stopped the assaults out of Brest-Litovsk. I think we have blunted the, we have significantly blunted the Guderian's tanks, because these tank divisions, they're severely under strength at this point. So I think they are not, they're no longer, that's a mountain division, whereas here they are. Yeah, they're no longer combat effective. They are, they are out of supply. They are out of and they are out of tanks, really. So the heavy attacks that Germany has thrown against the defensive lines of Russia that have been held have depleted the German combat capabilities. Anyway, we have completed the Astrov series of light tanks, which means this is still ahead of time. Not going down the medium tank route, but I will eventually get the Suvorov tanks for the heavy tank divisions. I could do more engine things here. This is still somewhat ahead of time. This, I can't remember what I said I was going to do next. So it's been a while since I recorded the last episode. I do have a few here that I need to catch up with, actually. Yes. So let's get that done. 38 days, and it gives us progress in the. It gives us progress in the land warfare, because we need to get to 3 breakthrough points for the Sviatogor. I'll have to look up what that means, but it is the land cruiser that I'm looking to construct. Anyway, we are going to design ourselves a new light tank, so let's get that underway. Here it is, light tank. So let's get the veritable BT, the T-38 and the BT-7A out, and we'll begin. We'll have the T-50 light tank based on the Astrov chassis. So that thing will get improvised turret. That's not something I haven't seen too. It houses the gun and it can rotate if it wants to. Okay, somebody had some fun here. Well done, well done. It houses the gun, it can rotate when it wants to. That was good. 3-man turret, and we do have small armaments. What did I use on the BT-7s last? I'm going to have to show they're outdated, actually. BT-7As. I think, I had the close support guns. So these things were mainly meant to fight infantry. They were not meant to take on German tanks. So let's stick with that. Or let's see what we have, actually. So we got the... we could go with the improved small cannon. So that would be probably something like a 57mm or something. We could get an autocannon, which would have 24 soft attack. Heavy machine gun is not good. But the close support gun, so that's basically a high explosive howitzer, short barreled, is still the... so that would be 30 soft attack. For the cost of 10% reliability. It's the same here, and the rest is pretty much the same. So, of course, piercing is nowhere near possible, but the effectiveness against enemy infantry is significantly improved. That said, what we could do is we could, because these are somewhat, well, they're not fast. Fast is not something that the Russian tanks are necessarily doing, but they are reasonably. They're usually reasonably heavily armored. So we could switch to this to the improved small cannon to give them some capability of dealing with some enemy some older enemy tanks as well, at the cost of soft attack again. At the cost of soft attack against infantry. Yeah, given the sheer number of tanks we've seen on the front lines, I'm actually thinking that that might be a good decision. All right, we want to get welded armor, generally. And on the tracked suspensions, I would prefer the torsion bar, if we can. And then we'll fit the improved radio in. And we'll have... does it... what did I have in the old one? Can't really see that, unfortunately. Let's see what we had on... did we have... no, we didn't have the additional fuel drums. So that wasn't a thing. Actually, interestingly enough, that thing only had 18.4 soft attack as well. Interesting. I would have thought... but they were a bit faster. But 80% reliability... oh, sorry, that's the BT7. BT7A, that's the one we're looking at. Okay. Yeah, no, there, now we're making sense. Significantly more soft attack, 80% reliability only, but they made 9 kilometers an hour. So let's strive to maintain that speed, and we are going to look at about 40 armor. Yeah, we're almost there already, so we can put additional... we could put sloped armor on that. It's not making a huge difference for 10% production cost, but yeah, I'm liking that so far. And I think we could still do the wet ammunition storage if we needed more reliability. But let's see if we can get back to... we've got some reliability to spare. If we can get back here to... and close. We could... so that's 8.7 kilometers. We could get it back to 9 kilometers for 95% reliability. I see 13 currently. What were we having for a cost on the 7As? Do I see that? Unfortunately, I do not. It's only the stats that get compared. Well, we would have better armor, same speed, higher reliability, significantly less supply use as well, but not the same soft attack. But at the same time, some capability against enemy armor, which they would be meeting in battle. So they might even be able to somewhat deal with enemy tanks. We could still throw in the where was it? The wet ammo storage, and that would give us a bit more to play with. But that gets us up to 58 armor. But now we're at 15 IC. That's, I think, manageable. So with that, we get up to we're back to okay. We are. Where are we going? 8.9. 54 armor. 49. 54 armor. 8.9 kilometers an hour. Still be able to pierced by. By German tank guns, but I think probably some resistance against regular infantry, which had begun causing us a bit of trouble. So this is the T-50, a more balanced design now that we are going to employ. And we'll change the BT-7A production line, we'll have to close that again, to the, it's going to significantly cost us in production efficiency, but we'll hopefully see the beginning of more serious tank production here as well. We can probably, we do have the RV2As, we do have a fair amount of these in storage at this point. I think we can begin pulling the, because I have these in use for the special forces, for the special anti-fortification forces production, but we've got a fair amount of in storage. So I think what we can do is we can reduce the factories assigned here and bring that into maintenance mode, and start focusing more, because we've got almost 400 in stockpile at this point. That should suffice for quite a while. So I'm going to pull 5 factories off and increase the production of the RV1As, which we are still very short on. And now I have 29 XP left, so I can do a few things, because the trucks need to be upgraded, because they are, this give us 30% hardness. So by default, trucks have 10% hardness. which means that that pulls down the overall hardness of the division. So just if you're unaware of how this works, let's look at our light tank division. So right now the division has a hardness of 55%, which means it takes 55% of hard attack and 45% of soft attack, which isn't great because soft attack's generally much higher than hard attack. So you want a high hardness, and that protects it pretty well. And that's due to these things because they contribute a relatively low number of hardness. So let's update that. And where we are, so we get these. The trucks will upgrade these. That upgrades the reliability, adds hardness on the cost of speed and production cost. Speed's not an issue because our fastest light tanks are slower than that anyway. So this is fine. So we are somewhat, unfortunately, it's multiplicative. So it's only 13% hardness. But let's see what the actual impact is on the division template. So this is just the template, but this is now having, well, it's got 56% hardness, so it's done a little bit. not an awful lot, but it's done a little bit to improve the, so we've got lightly armored trucks now. It's not the same as mechanized, but it does improve that. Now, obviously, we need to swap these out to the B variant, and I think the I-185s, I'm not going to mess with these just now because actually, let's have a quick look at the, oh no, that's just upgrades. They don't actually have, it's the wrong arrow I was looking at. It would just be the rifles that's left. Okay, so we're all good. We're all set, and we do have enough for a naval doctrine, so we can, I think we could either get the combined ops raiding, but I'm much more interested in the capital ship raiders. So I want to get this line down. We were not having any carry operations at this point, but getting our battle fleet a bit more effective would be useful. Now, 93 days, we've got another hull coming up, and then we can design ourselves probably what will probably be some form of battle cruiser. All right, let's get back to the action. And we are, how far are we along on planning? We are at 39%. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell me how long, so I do have to keep an eye and occasionally check back. But for now, we've got the 143rd, which is moving out of Khartoum to cut off the enemy tanks in the north here, and we do have to fall back further with the rest of the troops. We've got one more division here, but I am almost thinking of redeploying that. It would be interesting once we have the rest of the divisions to see if we can cut them off completely in the north. We'll try that because we've got the 143rd North. They'll block the position. They block the position west of Khartoum. We've got additional divisions in Tehran already at this point, and we'll be sending these south. And then we, I think, have enough here. Okay, another attack against Odessa, but it's just some desperate Dutchmen trying to probe our lines. I think all in all, the defense here has been reasonably successful. I must almost argue. And has definitely been holding. Unfortunately, the Spanish Socialist Republic has capitulated. Francisco, okay, let's actually go over there, of what's left of it. Yeah, Francisco Largo Caballero has announced that the Spanish nation can no longer withstand the pressure from the occupying German forces, committing travesties throughout the country. The Spanish government, the new Kaiser is of questionable character, let's say the least. The Spanish government has gone into exile, their main forces have capitulated, and the German Empire is now in control of their home area. All right, it's dark times indeed. This, I think, is unrelated, so we'll deal with that in a minute. But let's look at the situation here. So Valencia has fallen. There are just some remnants. Mallorca is still under syndicalist control, but the Union of Britain and the Norwegian Socialist Republic are the last ones standing. The Norwegians have been holding out for quite a while here, and Finland if they still, they can't actually get through here in the north. No, this is all impassable. So I am not entirely certain what Finland stands to can still attempt here. But the Norwegian Socialist Republic in the north is still standing. Sweden hasn't made any further advances. But of course, every fall of the syndicalist further frees up troops for the Reichspakt. Although seeing the Reichspakt somewhat depleted of armor, is something I'm relatively happy about. Anyway, let's have a look on what's going on in Moscow. Throughout the existence of the Russian army, there were two ways of to become an officer. Either start serving as a private and rise to the rank of officer, Paporshchik, sorry. I have looked up the imperial ranks, and I'm actually, if you have noticed that, I have tried to include these in the intersections to make it sound a bit more authentic. A graduate from a cadet school, the so-called Junkers, interestingly enough, German term. Previously, NCOs could take courses in several officer schools, such as the famous Oranienbaum Officer School in Novocherkassk Cavalry School, and after successful completion, received the rank of poruchik, lieutenant. The other group of officers came from families of officers, businessmen and civil servants who enrolled their children, usually under the age of 10, in cadet schools, informally called Junker schools. Many of these schools date back to the imperial era and are held in high regard. The graduates are considered the best and brightest officers, brought up with always holding the interest of the country above their own fate. Along with them, we're just enumerating the various schools. As part of Golovin's reform, non-commissioned officers will now be able to enroll in the military schools alongside cadets, essentially standardizing this formerly two-class military education into a single system, accessible to any talented soldier regardless of background. Additionally, officer schools will be created as a level between military schools and the General Staff Academy, which brings our military education system finally on par with the Germans in training our staff members. Well, that is good to hear. Repetition is the mother of skill. And with that, we're more meritocratic at this point, which makes sense for the democratic empire of Russia. Anyway, we have enough to utilize the film industry, which gives us 10% base war support, but we're still having to deal with the unhappiness on the ground due to enemy bombing operations. Now, one thing we could do is after we've assaulted Memel, we could try to take Brest-Litovsk. I think that would probably be worthwhile doing if we can pull it off. In that, depending on how much, they've got 10 infantry divisions dug in and defending, and they are well equipped. So that is not going to be an easy task. But probably something for the. Is Brest-Litovsk fortified? It isn't. But something to do for the special forces, for the 14th Army once Memel has been taken. Then because that'll deprive them of their most important forward airbase and of their opportunity at bombing Belarus. We have dealt relatively decisively with Ukraine. They have lost a fair amount of aircraft here, so I think we are. How far are we along? 47%. We're getting close to being fully planned and being able to launch the offensive operations against Memel. But right now I'm going to keep an eye on the situation in Africa, where we have the Persian Mountain Division has assisted as well with cutting off the enemy. And I'm going to need the other divisions here. So I am going to, once they've fallen back from the front lines, I'm going to get them here. And then we'll try to encircle and destroy the rest of the troops there in Central Africa. And the other additional divisions are still, they're still in Tehran. So let's stick with the Africa situation for now. The tanks are still moving north, but we could simply chase after them and keep them pretty much contained. They must be completely out of fuel. So I'm going to give the I'm going to give the 143rd Guards some time to organize themselves, and then we'll begin chasing after this armored division here, after this Panzer division, and see if we can deal with it. Actually, they are still somewhat within range, just about within range of the air support wings in Khartoum. But if they move north, they might be out of range. So, yeah, the 143rd is not in any shape to begin assault operations, though. So let's give them a little bit of time to recuperate. How long until the 19th Panzer in 13 hours is going to move on? So we've got a few hours here to... okay, now we need to begin assaults, otherwise they will slip away. And that should get the aircraft involved. So hopefully, maybe. But yeah, this Panzer division under von Kleist is now encircled, is completely out of supply. And I think despite the fact that the 143rd is relatively uncoordinated at this point still, we are, I think, in a good position to deal. We're in a good position to actually deal with them and eradicate them, and then we can return to the main front and see if we can cause some more damage there. At this point in 1941, elections are to be held in Russia. However, with the ongoing major war, elections have been postponed for the future. A sense of normalcy must be returned at some point, but not until we stand victorious over the German hegemon. So right now, that is okay. Next election, the cadets will remain the ruling party, and the next election will be in 1946. So for now, given the war situation, no elections to be held. But with the success in Africa, and I believe the 143rd is going to, yes, the 143rd with support from the air has managed to destroy the 19th Armored, which means that they have lost 158 Panzer force once more on that little African adventure. And I think the Germans have simply spread their forces too far, in that they are covering too many areas at once, and simply don't have enough to supply all of that. Anyway, we are going to be they've moved fighters out of the Baltics. They are really okay, they've moved fighters off the front lines, so that's a perfect opportunity for us to begin air operations over the air operations over the Baltics. Got another 600 that can go here, and once the fighter wings are in place, then I'm not entirely certain where the Germans have moved off to, but I'm not complaining. They only have 400 fighters remaining in the area, and that means we now have, for you two, move over here. For the first time in a while, we're building up the emission efficiency, but for the first time in a while, we actually have a massive aerial superiority over the Baltic states, and that will allow us to begin offensive operations here, because there are still small attacks from the occasional Austrian division. But we are going to hit Memel with everything we've got. The charge will be led by, I think, what are we facing? So we're facing 12 German divisions, 4 Austrian Panzer divisions, but they have been ground down. Actually, no, they're running relatively low on supply. They're still decently equipped. We have a Dutch bicycle division to nobody's great surprise. But I believe the best course of action is probably going to be to have the light tanks lead the charge. Actually, I think these two can't. Can we? Okay, these two are adjacent, so we should be able to hit. Actually, we should be able to hit Memel from all 3, to be honest. Let's begin with the light tanks leading the charge, and we can probably These are still exhausted from the defense, and we'll have the mountaineers and the heavy infantry joining in as well. So now, okay, the mountaineers come in first. We'll wait for the. It's always a coin toss. We wait for the assault in the north to be defeated, and then the defending troops from there will join in as well. We've got the anti-tank divisions and regulars still on the defensive, but that even just the mountain divisions themselves probably can do a fair amount of damage here. So we'll have to, and we have defeated the Austrian attack out of Memel, which means we are now going to launch the attack from the north into the city as well. And with that, suddenly the mountaineers are leading the charge, the experienced 66th, 67th, and 60th, and with significant with aerial superiority over the Baltics after Germany has pulled most of their fighter force away. Probably, I'm not even sure where they've pulled them over to. Maybe they have taken significant losses that they need some reconstitution as well. Anyway, so with that cleared, we are running now a major offensive. Now I do have to keep an eye on my troops here. Yes. Can we take the railway and make our way to the front lines, please? All right. We do have another MIO, the Balski Zavod. This is what we will be using for the heavy ships. So anything that's battleship is interesting. We already have the torpedo critical hit chance. The next one would be the stabilized firing mechanisms. Yes, please. So we'll do that. And obviously, yeah, we would need to refit another one. Oh yeah, Dux as well. Dux was used for the fighters. Yes, I remembered. So for that, we have agility range, or I think I'm going to go for agility because I think the range is decent at this point. So we're going to go for agility. It might actually be worth. Well, how are we looking on fighters? We've got 40 fighters in stockpile for a change. But we haven't, that obviously changes very rapidly if we are taking on the German Air Force more in earnest. But let us see if we can manage to retake Memel and stabilize the defense situation there. Okay, Yemen and Muscat have, they've ended their hostilities. And have I managed to extricate the? Can we take the railway? If there is any, please take the railways and get the troops out of there. Another one actually, BMZ. That I can't remember what that was for. Trains, possibly. Yeah, armored trains. Okay, so that's what we need that for. This would be for. I could get 2 free railway guns. Or I could get 10% bombardment on the railway artillery. That might be interesting. What else do we got? This is towed artillery, not using it for that. I don't need 2 additional railway guns. We have a good number at this point. This would be towed artillery, which we're not using this for. Let's get the crane-operated reloading mechanism, and that would give railway guns. I didn't even know we could assign an MIO to a railway gun. Oh, we can actually. So we create a variant of that, which is increasing its speed and bombardment. And can we refit existing railway guns? That's not something I've ever tried. Let's have a look. Let me find myself. It's probably easier if I just look at the front lines because I know where they are. I've left one around here-ish. Can I somehow refit this thing? No. Unfortunately, I don't see a way of doing that. So we would, it'll just affect newly created railway guns, unfortunately. Okay, but it's good to know that newly created railway guns are going to be more effective. Anyway, let's observe the assault against the enemy lines here. We've got the first mechanized coming in now as well, and we are starting to wear down the enemy relatively rapidly with Allied air support now up in the air, and doing the damage. And with that, the very mixed command that is currently holding Memel is taking severe damage. Now we're engaging the 17th Panzer Division, and we are struggling somewhat to break them. But they only had 41 armor, so I believe they might actually have a few older tanks now. Yeah, we're definitely seeing older German armor in the field now after their more modern tanks have been dealt with, and that means that the German Panzer divisions are very far from the threat that they used to pose, and they're still assaulting here, but they're so under strength at this point that even the regular dug-in infantry in their fortifications can, with prepared minefields and pre-selected artillery positions, can actually deal with that reasonably quickly. And with that, we are making our way now through the enemy forces, and it looks like the German Empire has lost to a degree their initiative that they used to have. So this attack is proceeding as planned. We are pushing back the enemy, but they have significant reserves, obviously. That they are committing, so this is going to be a somewhat long and drawn out fight unless we can make a rapid breakthrough before they can manage to reinforce, which I think we are at the verge of. Yes, we have broken through enemy lines. Even the Alpenjäger division has not managed to secure that. And with that, we have pushed them back over the river, which makes their offensives now significantly less potent. We do have slight fortifications in Memel, but I think at this point not going to waste that much more time on or effort on additional fortifications. So our production lines our industry is very busy building out the reinforcements of supply networks, but with the recapture, yeah, Kaunas is significantly overloaded. Are we reinforcing Kaunas? Let me have a look in case it wasn't scheduled yet. Yeah, it wasn't. So let's bring that. Actually, that's a relatively easy one. Let's prioritize that because that's a quick one, and we get the Kaunas hub of the supply shortage. Other than that, it's starting to look decent, but I'm still waiting for the heavy tanks to come in, and these things are taking an awful lot of supply. We are losing trains to logistics strikes now in Ukraine. So now that the air operation over the Baltics has been successful, we can return. And I think what we'll do next, because most of the bombing is happening in Belarus, so what we'll do next is we'll redeploy to the Belarus, the fighter wings which have been successfully reconstituted. We'll redeploy them to the Belarusian air zone and begin engaging the German Air Force there, because they don't have sufficient fighters in the air, and yeah, it's a mixed group. So the main German Air Force for now has left the front lines, which means that we have somewhat regained our initiative. Now, next up, I was planning to get the 14th Army under Govorov redeployed towards, where's Brest-Litovsk? Here. So let's see if unfortunately this is, hitting it directly is going to be significantly difficult. It's not fortified, but we won't be able to, it'll be a grinding fight. Now what we could try would be to take on the plains south of Brest-Litovsk and then make a two-pronged attack. So for that we might need, and I do want to get these tanks reconstituted because we're still having shortages on the 6th Army. So They're still running attacks, but the attacks are increasingly being blunted here now because they can no longer commit the large amounts of troops they had in Memel. So that should relieve this position. I'll leave the 6th in place, but I'll bring the 14th already south towards Brest-Litovsk, and we will see if we can begin planning the capture of the enemy airfield. So the plan would be to push the enemy out towards the river line. They have strong German forces, a full German field army deployed around Brest-Litovsk and south of there. But I think we might have enough troops to begin pushing them out, especially if we're getting support in the air. And while we have been holding the lines in the north successfully, we can. I'm even going to leave the anti-tank divisions here for now, because they are useful in dealing with the Austrian tanks. And honestly, Guderian's forces have lost their bite. They're understrength. They're significantly understrength, and they no longer have the fearsome attack force that they once were. So aircraft are relocating towards Belarus, and with that we should be, once we have them engaged, we should be beginning. We will begin to, once we've got our mission efficiency up. We've got very good air detection here from the radars. They have none, so they're flying blind into Belarus for bombing runs and into Ukraine at this point, but we'll deal with one at a time. So we'll deal with the heavy bombers. So there's the Austrian heavy bombers and a few Polish ones. We'll deal with these here over Belarus for now, wearing down the enemy air force, and we are going to then challenge them wherever we can possibly find them. All right, we've got a few more. What are the? Okay, I'm not even getting the. Why am I not getting the notifications of the? Oh, there they are. Okay, so we've got 2 new aces, and we've shot down 2 enemy aces. So well done, everybody. Well done, the Air Force. And we've got we've got an anti-tank division, so that can join the, I believe it was the 12th Army? Yes, so that can join the 12th. And we have some successes in the Atlantic, dealing with Swedish convoys for now, and some Dutch convoys. Now, I wonder if the German troops from Spain are going to arrive on their eastern front, our western front, and if they are going to cause additional, an additional surge in combat power. But for now, the united Russian, Indian, Afghani, Georgian troops are holding the line very successfully, and we're beginning to make. Somewhat costly, but to make forward operations once more possible. All right, let's get back to Africa, where I am still attempting to move the troops into place, and we are getting all 8 divisions now onto this position here. I don't think we need to hold the north. Let's concentrate the troops further south, where we have the 144th, and it is almost fully planned. So we are facing the 19th Infantry Division, which nominally runs under the German Imperial Command, but we do have supply out of Malakal, which they do not. So we have an opportunity here to cut off 7 divisions. So I'm not going to wait for the rest. But we're going to throw the 144th into the fray here, and we will see if they can beat back the 19th Infantry under Heinrici and cut off and see if the Germans notice in the north that they are being cut off. But we've got significant numbers of additional troops now arriving in the African theater, and with that I think, and we were even holding still the positions south near Kenya. So. If we can break through here, and we have the 140, 141st arriving, but I don't think we'll actually even need them. Yeah, I think we can break through here. We just have to keep an eye that they don't break out from the north. But we're pushing back. I think it's the South African divisions. Okay, they are getting emergency reinforced by the 2nd Light Infantry from Middle Africa. Quick look at the Memel front and see what the assaults are now looking like. Yeah, they are. They might actually, if we're not careful, they might actually push us back here. Let me clear that all a little bit. Are these in? No, they're not in Memel. Okay, they need to be in Memel. Because we'll have to be careful that our divisions do not get pushed back here. So because they are very exhausted. Yeah, they start because they're trying to extricate themselves, but they're still tasked with defense. Okay, now we've reinforced with proper divisions, and I think now the front line is holding. All right, so we're all good. And we shot down another German ace over Belarus. How's the air war over Belarus going? Okay, they have redeployed. All right, with that, I believe they still have a terrible air detection. How are we trading? We're trading 1 to 10 right now, but with the German Air Force redeploying here, I think we'll keep the attack going for a while. We can always pivot back to Ukraine. We've got a fair amount of planes to deal with, a fair amount of bombers to deal with in Ukraine as well. But this will disrupt the bombing operations in Belarus and hopefully somewhat reduce the war support impact. Now that the people on the ground see that we are countering the enemy, and the Russian Air Force is no longer just there for show, pretty much, but is actually in fact countering. All right, so these attacks here now, they still have the opportunity from this can bypass the river line and attack Memel directly. So. That's where the Austrian and the 2nd Panzer are still coming in, but they're dealing with supply problems, railway gun bombardment, and other issues. So they are reasonably contained at this point. We'll give some. Have we broken through here? I believe we have broken through here. Yes. So the 144th is going to advance, and then we'll just have to wait for the rest of the troops to regain their organization, and then we can deal with 6th German Imperial Infantry and 1 Middle African Mountaineers Division, which is going to be cut off. There we go. Which is now cut off from everywhere, and that means we can begin the attack operations from multiple, while the 144th is going to defend against the inevitable counterattack. We are going to begin the operations immediately to deal with the encircled enemy troops and remove them from the African plains. And I think that will be the first major victory. I'm just keeping a bit of an eye on the Memel situation to make sure that we can actually successfully dig in here. And that we will actually manage to hold these lines against the inevitable counterattack. But also they are running into relatively severe supply issues now, and that is helping our side as well, obviously. Now we have green air. We've got friendly air forces over the Baltics, while we are engaging the vastly superior, numerically superior German Air Force over Belarus. They are our mission efficiency and is generally better than theirs, but obviously we're fighting almost a 1 to 2 numerical disparity. So we have destroyed in the African theater and taken captive almost 50,000 German troops in Darfur, and with that we can decide what the next operation is going to be. I believe it is time to return to the original plan now that we've secured the lines in the north here, and get them split up. So we'll use the 4 divisions here to hold the northern front, and they can simply be deployed like this. So they will be on this front. We don't need this front anymore, and we can use the other divisions to maybe accept this one can quickly move over here, and the other 3 divisions are going to move towards a new offensive line back into the Kenyan area, where that is the wrong button. What did I press? Oh, here. Where's supply here? Not much. So the first mission would probably be to try to take the supply hub here and then move from here over towards Nairobi, now that Kenya is once more fully under Reichspakt control. So German or Reichspakt control over Africa has seen its first major setback. Significant losses for the Reichspakt there. Memel has fallen, and with renewed vigor, the Russian Air Force is dealing with a significant numerical superiority on the enemy side, but putting up a fight now over Belarus and shooting down rather significant amounts of enemy aircraft. We are still short on tanks, but we're getting there very, very slowly. The factories are starting to trundle in, and I'm actually designate another 10 for the RV-1As that once there. But everything else, I think, is all the other production lines above that are almost are at this point almost filled. We do need another one for the trucks. But I believe we have sufficient, we've got sufficient trucks. If I'm changing the templates, then that will no longer be the case. We do need to get back to truck production. But I'm going to designate them here. We do need to get back to truck production, and we do have a few more anti-tank divisions coming in now as well. So that's good to see. And with that, I think overall, we are in a significantly better position. We may at some point see if we want to deploy some of the forces in the north here to the border into Sweden and see if we can push back the Reichspakt there, because we're now bordering directly at Third International. So could we use these 4 divisions to assist friendly forces? Can't do that. Can we ask the Norwegian socialist? We can ask them for military access. They will accept. So we'll do that, and then we might begin deploying some of the northern forces. Seeing that Finland isn't really getting anywhere, we can start deploying the northern forces here and begin assisting the Norwegians against Sweden. The French Republic still struggles to put down the uprising in the south. I would have assumed that the Germans by now would be assisting, but who knows where. The Germans might be running pretty low on equipment at this point, because we're dealing quite some damage to their trade convoys. They're losing ground in Africa. And while Japan is not getting anywhere in East Asia, I believe it would be, and the German East Asia isn't making any progress into the Republic of Burma. Somebody has suggested to take Ceylon off Germany. So the Ceylon has a significant number of rubber, which they currently can't ship, because they can't easily get to us. The Suez Canal is under Persian control, and as such inaccessible for delivery from the German East Asian colonies of rubber. And with Persia blocking the land route through potentially friendly states as well, not to talk about the Indian Federation and Afghanistan, they are pretty cut off from their colonies at this point, and Russian submarines obviously operating within the Atlantic. So the Reichspakt, I believe, has lost its edge, and we can soon restart more serious offensive operations. The next one is going to go against Brest-Litovsk, probably still being led by the 6th Army light tanks and the 14th Army assault divisions. And then eventually we'll see Russian heavy tanks coming into the field. And then I think things are going to go very badly for the Reichspakt indeed. We'll see. The big question mark is still, how is the Entente going to operate? So they haven't retaken the British Isles. That would require the Americans to send their naval assets over. But are they going to remain on with the uneasy pact with the Reichspakt, or are they going to turn on them, or would they even turn against us? And what do renewed American interest in the Pacific mean for the Imperial Japanese position?